Good evening. We'll call to order this meeting of the City Council of the City of Gahanna, Monday, May the 19th, 2025. If you would please join me and stand for the invocation and pledge of allegiance delivered by Vice President Trenton Weaver.
Thank you. As we gather, we are grateful for, appreciate, and use each day that comes before us. For each day's duties and in each day's difficulties, we are challenged to give our best always in unity and in service to one another and to our community. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Bowers.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
McGregor.
Here.
Padova.
Here.
Schnetzer. Here. Weaver.
Here.
And Renner is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. And welcome to everyone. Next on the agenda, are there any additions or corrections this evening? All right. We have two presentations this evening. I'm very excited to present a resolution that is on the consent agenda this evening to Chloe, Inc., Connie Nassiger, and Melanie O'Neill. We are so excited to bring attention to an organization that has quietly and powerfully changed lives in our community and across Franklin County for the past 25 years, and to honor its remarkable founder, Connie Nassiger. Chloe stands for community, health, life skills, opportunities, and education. For 25 years, the organization has supported young mothers and mothers-to-be ages 13 to 21 by providing practical resources, parenting support, and mentorship during a pivotal time in their lives. Chloe's work has strengthened families and helped build a more connected and resilient community. Its impact goes beyond individual families. It's helped foster a culture of support, stability, and opportunity for young women working to build better futures for themselves and their families. Connie Nassiger, a longtime Gahanna resident, nurse, and advocate, saw a need, and she built something transformative. As she retires this year as executive director, we celebrate both the 25th anniversary of Chloe and the legacy of someone whose compassion and commitment have touched generations. On behalf of this council and the City of Gahanna, we thank Connie for her visionary leadership and thank Chloe and incoming Executive Director Melanie O'Neill for continuing this essential work. We are grateful for the difference you've made and will continue to make in so many lives. With that, if you would join council in front of the podium for a picture, and then we'll welcome you to deliver some remarks.
I don't know how many people have the privilege of having their dream job and enjoying, I can't say enjoyed every minute because there were some real hard times working with young women that were at disadvantage. But it has been an absolute joy to see the changes in their lives, to watch the little ones grow, to make it possible for young moms to come and learn and to be mentored by older women. Not old women, but you know what I mean. They have to be 25. And to see their little ones being read to daily is one of our things that we encourage. And they get a free book every time they come. Seeing them sit around the table and forming community, and then finding out they're inviting each other to their kids' birthday parties. Because young teen moms in the age that we focus on are isolated, generally speaking. They've lost a lot of their friends. Family at home is kind of a tense place to be often. But they can come and they know that they will be respected, and they will know that they'll even be celebrated. And they know if they do a few things on our list between our meetings, which are twice a month, they will get points to shop in our really cute little baby boutique. And so they can provide for their own children, and that's a really important thing for them to do. When I knew it was getting time to retire, I'm 77, and I don't know, it seems like that could be time. I was thinking about who I might want to replace me, and there was never a thought of anyone but Melanie O'Neill. When she was working on her master's in social work at OSU, I was her mentor, and she worked with me for a year and a half. She is an incredible young woman with a heart for the young ladies that we serve, very capable, and I have not one qualm about handing it over to her. Maybe she can say a couple things about what you think you may be doing a little differently in the future.
Hi, thank you for having us. Connie deserves all of the recognition. She's been an amazing role model for me in the 3 years that I've known her. And I'm very excited to continue Chloe's work. Very excited to work on some of the barriers that keep our moms from attending our meetings, like transportation. So just working on establishing better resources for our moms to get them to our meetings, because they always want to be here and are always eager to learn. So yeah, very excited to continue on that work and gain more moms, gain more volunteers. Thank you all for having us.
Such an honor to be here. I thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Well, thank you again, and we wish you all the best in the next 25 years. The next item on this evening's agenda is a presentation from the Gahanna Energy Plus Community Choice Aggregation Group that we use, SOPAC, regarding a rate update. Welcome Luke Suffrage and Stephen Harris.
Thank you for inviting us here tonight. We're going to run through some updates on the existing program and then what to expect in the year ahead. So just a quick timeline, and thank you to Gahanna. You guys are great about what you keep on the website for residents, making sure they're very informed. So drawing from that, just a quick synopsis of where we are. Gahanna reactivated their electric aggregation program last summer, with it taking place in effect December. So you'll see December, and the metrics we're going to give you are based on that supply term since December of 2024. So since December, we've seen about $423,000 in savings across customers. That does include small commercial as well as residential, all while being 100% green. So the two goals of the program are to save residents money and to use renewable power doing it. And the program has been successful on both fronts. I'm hoping at the full year of the program, we're going to see that 500,000 trees be the equivalent of 1 million trees next year. So some nice round numbers. We'll get you guys some formal data once we get through the supply year, which is rounding up this year, or this month rather. But just some fun facts of how to put that together in context. And so there's where we are through this month, and that rate will change, and we'll talk about what's going to happen here soon. But for this year, there are the number of folks who were in the program. So 9,000 that are currently enrolled. We had 111 folks decide proactively that weren't in the initial enrollment. This is an opt-out program, so folks who had not shopped for power before and were eligible. The 111 are folks who said, I would like to be in that, and may have previously shopped for power elsewhere on their own. So that's an exciting, healthy number in itself. We hope that number continues to grow as folks are able to take advantage of the program as a default offering. And then also to highlight, that's a pretty healthy number as well. Hope to see that number grow, but we do allow net metering in all of our communities, and 180 of your accounts, so that could be some commercial, but I would estimate largely residential, have solar installations on their homes. So it's a good snapshot and actually a very healthy number for the state of Ohio. We're going to talk about a price increase that's coming. We'll talk about what that means in relative to your pricing and the market at large. But it is good for everybody to be aware of this change going to happen in June. And a lot of this has to do with something called capacity charges. So we are part of a regional grid called PJM, which is an acronym back from the days when it was just Pennsylvania, Jersey, and Maryland. Now it includes parts of 13 states across the Mid-Atlantic, large cities in New York City, Chicago, D.C., obviously Columbus, and all of Ohio for that matter. Next. So here's where the policy gets interesting. So from a capacity standpoint, the capacity went tenfold this year. And so whether you're an electric aggregation program, standard service offer, the market and the auctions that set the rates for this went really high this year. And so we expect this to be the new normal for a few years, but just want to set expectations and do a little explanation of why everybody's seeing their rates go up. And that number you're seeing there, the tenfold increase, is a pretty quick synopsis of why. We are aggressively and actively working towards deploying renewable assets ourselves and working with our communities to deploying renewable energy assets on the rooftops. So I mentioned solar a few minutes ago. Communities and households that are deploying solar as they're able are able to offset this capacity because it's really the extra amount you're charged for those peak demand periods, which happen to be usually in the middle of summer, about 5 to 7 in the afternoon. So the hottest days of the year when everybody flicks everything on when they go home from work, for folks who work 9 to 5, that's the peak demand and when the grid is most stressed. And so there's a premium for the power that is utilized during that period of time. So it's incumbent on all of us to figure out strategies to reduce that load and therefore reducing our local load factor and capacity cost. But capacity for the grid at large was a significant increase, roughly about 2.5 cents per kilowatt hour, regardless of what your energy is as far as program. All right. Next, we'll give you a map of PJM so you know who we're talking about. So this is a big problem. It's not unique to PJM. There are other regional grid operators seeing the same issue, but PJM is calls themselves the largest machine in the world. It's a very large transmission network, and we are part of that. So it is something we're looking at systemically that is in need of some policy improvements and some deployment of additional resources. So here's the meat and potatoes. So what it means for Gahanna coming into the next year, our rates will be going up, but as our stated goals of staying below the market and being green, we have been able to secure a price below the incoming SSO, which takes effect in June, or standard service offer. So if Gahanna were to not have an aggregation program, that would be the rate that residents would be paying. But Gahanna is locked in at a lower rate, nearly 0.2 cents lower, or a little over that actually, while also deploying green power. So I would love to see more savings, but that's where we are for the next supply year ahead. So that'll be the price from June through May of 26 when the next supply year sets. But again, you're looking at a brown power from the SSO from AP Ohio versus a green power from the price for Gahanna. So there is savings there. There's some other program options within the aggregation program. Should folks choose, they can opt into a brown product and have a little bit of additional savings. But residents, by doing nothing, will have a green product and be saving against the marketplace. But that being said, it is a price increase. So we are sensitive to that across the board, that there are challenges for a lot of households on that. So we're also engaged with all of our communities in how we work with folks to finding best solutions when folks meet that wall that comes to increasing energy bills. So the burden is real, but from a policy objective, we've pursued that. We will be communicating this to residents in a postcard, hopefully the end of this month. We're working with AP Energy and deploying those. So look for that, and then we're going to be working with the city to make sure a representation of that is available for the city's website as well, so folks will know what they're looking for. We have a postcard representing that same information, that here's the new rate. If you would like to leave or join the program, either way, there's no cost. From our side, if you're an existing contract, that's something you need to evaluate, but the ability for folks to either opt in or opt out, they can do through the phone number or through the website, which they can find on the Gahanna aggregation page. Any questions? That's a lot to unpack. So the good news, still saving money. Bad news, rates are going up across the board. So not happy to share that. I will share there are some additional political realities we're in right now. The low-income heating and assistance program, LIHEAP, has been defunded of its staff at a national level, so that's a challenge everybody should be aware of. There's been some talk of those programs being housed by another agency, but at a time when folks are going to really need to lean on it, that is a question mark right now at the federal government. So there are some policy challenges as folks face the summer months and into the winter months especially as well. But yeah, anyway, happy to share any questions folks may have.
Thank you. Yes, I see Mr. Schnetzer and Mrs. Jones after that.
Thank you, President Bowers. Thank you guys for the update. There was a slide that talked about why rates were increasing, and you had mentioned data centers, some power plant retirements, revised market rules, and delays in construction. Any visibility into, like, not the next 12 months, but 12 months after that? Do you anticipate any sort of rate relief in the future? There's a couple of guys that operate in this space, just hoping maybe you can provide some data or information as subject matter experts.
So unfortunately for the next several years, I won't say beyond that, but the next couple of years we can see ahead, we're seeing an increase. So I think this is going to be the new normal for the next several years. Okay. It is kind of a perfect storm, I will say, from somebody who advocates for renewable energy assets. The quicker we can get those deployed, and there has been a lot of frustration with our grid operator and how quickly we're allowed to bring those online. You're hearing that from a lot of communities across Ohio and beyond, but if we're able to bring additional assets, then you're going to see relief by additional capacity coming online. And actually, solar in particular produces power when it's the sunniest days of the year, which is precisely when we need the power. So I think until some of those new assets are in place, you're going to see there is some legislative negotiating happening in some other states. Some of them are accepting a new high reality, but putting a cap on it, Pennsylvania in particular. So you may see some things like that occur as well. And there's some talk at the State House in Ohio of how they want to manage this moving ahead. Some questioning PJM in general, but we're seeing it in other RTOs, regional transmission operators as well. So this is, the grid in the United States as a whole is woefully out of date. Technology is pushing forward. There's a lot of chatter a few years ago about electric cars. We're going to be this massive burden, but it's greatly dwarfed now by other technologies like AI and data centers now that are requiring massive, and Central Ohio in particular is seeing a lot of interesting demand and growth on that. So I think until there are new solutions put forward, which some of those are old ideas like wind and solar, you're going to see that capacity constraint maintained for a while, unfortunately. I said the one positive thing is if you are looking at trying to control whether you're a residential or small business, deploying that solar does still make sense, and you can directly take control of your energy bills and reduce your own energy burden if you have the means to do so.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mrs. Jones.
Yeah, so in that first bullet, the price increase, am I correct in understanding that we're seeing that across the board in brown and green, and whether you're aggregated or not?
Thank you. That's an important distinction. So the way that green power operates for this program and many like it is that currently it's operating on a renewable energy certificate program. So we're buying the green attributes to make our program green. So we're helping deploy solar or wind, or it may not be in Ohio, maybe elsewhere, but we're helping. So there is an across-the-board base capacity. So when power is sold into the grid, the electrons themselves, whether it's brown power, green power, are sold into that bucket, that is where you're seeing the rising happening. Okay. And then the capacity, which is the standby power. So there are generation assets that are there just in case, so they don't have to. We saw in Central Ohio a few years ago the ugliness of having to see parts of the community shut down. The idea is that there's existing capacity set aside to be able to supply into the grid at those peak demand periods, whether it's a really cold day in the middle of winter or a really hot day in the middle of summer, that they're able to bring the standby generation assets. So it is the standby assets that are lacking and the overall generation market itself. So actually green power is actually getting a little cheaper at the moment. So it is not green power, and that's an important distinction that is driving the cost up. In fact, I would argue that deployment of green power is bringing the price down. But in the case of this program, the price of RECs has actually fallen down as well. So relative to last year, the price of green power is actually a smaller percentage of folks' bill than it was even last year.
Right. Thank you for
Thank
that
you.
clarification.
Yep.
Thank you for the question. Yes, Mr. Weaver and then Ms. Padova.
Thank you so much for all of this information. It was good to see the numbers of how many people opted into the program and opted out, and all of those metrics here. You said that there would be a postcard mailer sent to all of the residents? Or, I'm sorry, I guess that's my question. Who is it being sent to exactly?
Yeah, so everybody who's eligible for aggregation, and as a refresher, that's going to be folks, you're not eligible if you're in a PIP program, so percentage of income payment. You are excluded by statute from aggregation programs. If you have previously shopped for a supplier, so if you're on a private supply that you've secured yourself, you want an apples to apples, found a product that made sense for you, you are not included in the aggregation program. If you have gone to the PUCO and requested to be on the do not aggregate list, so you can be put on a list saying, I don't want ever be in one of these programs, then you're excluded from the program as well. The folks it does include would be everybody who's eligible, whether it's households and small commercial. So commercial is everybody under 700,000 kilowatt hours a given year. So it's most small and medium businesses are under the threshold where they would be eligible. It's the larger industrial and big commercial that would be ineligible for aggregation in Ohio. So everybody else should be getting that communication.
Okay, so it would be going also to anyone who opted. I think there was like 100 or.
Yeah, the ones who opted
So-
in, yes.
Or the people who opted out the last time?
Opted out, I do not believe so, because
I don't think so.
we've made it a practice to keep the folks that have opted out. We think they've stayed with that. If they want to come back in, they're certainly welcome, but respecting folks' choice when they made that choice, I believe this program is doing that again this year.
We can double check too.
Yep.
Okay, and I just want you to confirm this, the last slide, the new rate
Yes.
is going up, but it would still be better, or a better rate than if you were just in the standard AEP. So if you opted out last time, and you wanted to be a part of this program now that the rates have shot up even more, you would still be able to get into this
Absolutely.
program. I would like, if it's possible, I do understand the concerns of not, bothering people if they've already opted out, but if it is possible to still at least just send them the postcard to give them another shot to save some money if they've gone on to or just gone back to the standard AEP rate. Obviously, if they've gone into their own rate, then they wouldn't be listed on that.
Yeah,
but-
we're happy to discuss that and follow up.
And then one other question that I had, will both of these rates be included on that postcard?
Yes.
Okay, so they will see that if they opt out of the program now and go back to the standard AEP rate, that their rate would be even higher.
And I should clarify one thing too on the AP rate. So the AP rate, it's a little weird because it falls on the end of a quarter. So the June rate for supply is going to be just June for AP Ohio. What's most likely, and what's happened historically, is it's probably going to go up a little bit, but it's going to change come July. So we'll update you guys too with what that July number is going to be. But from June, this is what it's going to be. But come July for the next quarter, in AP Ohio territory, it modulates very slightly based on some of the capacity components. But we'll update you guys once we see the July numbers too. But it should be pretty close. So it's still going to be savings, but it's going to be marginally different with AP Ohio. And we don't know what that's going to be yet. But
Okay. One more question that
Yep.
made me think of one more.
good.
So this 9.756, that is locked in for a year, no matter what, and you can still drop out at any point, right?
all true.
Okay.
Yes. So our rate is fixed for 12 months. So it'll be the same product for folks. If they do nothing, they're rolled into it, and that'll be the next 12 months, and there'll be a new price come next June. We'll obviously communicate with the city in advance of that. But the one that is going to change is the AP offers. I said it just very slightly changes a couple times a year, and one of those times is
Okay.
going to be July.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize for the confusion. I included the June 2025 to June 2026 for the AEP Ohio rate as well. That should not be there. It's our rate that's fixed for a full year.
Okay.
But the AEP Ohio standard service offer will change slightly.
And that rate, it's sometimes delayed how often it's posted, but it'll be on the Apples to Apples website. So when you look at the Apples to Apples shopping suppliers, it'll also share what the current rate is for the standard service offers. So if you look at that website, as your shopping options yourself, if you choose to do so, you can check what that is. But we'll also communicate with the city, so it can most likely be up on the city's aggregation page as well, so folks can look at it from there. So that's probably going to be the easiest way for us to share with the city, and folks can look on the aggregation page and see.
Okay.
So we'll update that when we get that number.
I should also point out, on the SOPEC website as well, each individual community, SOPEC community, has their own dedicated webpage that will indicate the rates as well.
Yep.
Okay. I think that's all I have for you. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Weaver?
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, gentlemen, for being here this evening. Did I hear when those postcards would be going out?
So our expectation from AP Energy, let me make sure I get the right one. AP Energy is the end of the month.
End of this month?
Yes, yes, the end of May.
I think we'll probably have an electronic version that we can share for your use before then, probably this week, I would think.
Thank you. And then somewhat separately, so came to my attention that there was maybe some folks who were not, who were otherwise eligible. They hadn't signed up for Apples to Apples, or they weren't on a PIP, but were not automatically opted in. And related to a miscoding, if directors, correct me if I'm phrasing that incorrectly, and I'm trying to get a sense of maybe how many people or how many homes were impacted by that.
I don't remember off the top of my head, but I believe we looked into this with AP Energy, and it maybe had to do with like the street name. The street was actually excluded.
Yeah, so we can get you an exact figure on that once we find out, but it wasn't huge. We did,
It wasn't like a widespread issue.
I believe in some instances it was the tariff code that the customer was identified under, which then did not automatically opt in a couple of the examples that Mr. Weaver gave.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that into the mic, so just so I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
catch all of that, thank you.
So in some cases, it was the tariff code itself. So folks were in a special rate program where they weren't aggregated as a result of the way that their utility was structured and which rate code they were underneath. So for instance, you have a small business, sometimes there's different rate codes that you've taken advantage of. So in those special instances, we work with the customer to figure out if they were eligible or not. But
Okay.
there are times, we hope it's not a common occurrence, but it does happen sometimes where folks may be on the edge and the utility data is not accurate on whether a house is in a given jurisdiction or another. There are times when that does occur. I don't think we had a lot of that this time. We've seen that in some other utilities, but I don't think that was a big issue here.
So I'll just give a kudos for the team. You know, when the resident called, they were able to get in no problem, and it was you know, all questions were addressed. But just trying to get a sense of maybe how many residences might have been potentially impacted by that, and to see if that has. There's no way of wholesale addressing that, is what I'm detecting from your comments.
Yeah, so when you activate a program, sometimes you find where the data has issues
Sure.
for the first time, and once it's smoother every time from there. So whether it's a large community, small community, but particularly in urban environments where folks are, the borders are right against, and there's not a fine defined boundary between a given community. But I don't think we did have issues this time. So for the folks who did have an issue, apologies, and hopefully we can get them addressed for the future. But I don't think it was a huge number, very few.
Wonderful, thank you very much. Appreciate your efforts, and thanks again for being here.
Mrs. McGregor?
Yes, I just have one question. What is the Brown energy rate this time?
Believe it's 9,461.
Okay, all right.
And we'll have that posted up as well.
Yeah.
So if somebody wants to take advantage of that, they would call in or go through the website and be able to, they would opt into that program effectively, opt into the Brown option. But, yeah,
Okay, thanks.
you're welcome.
I had one question, and I will credit Mr. Renner, although I know I can't do this justice that he would do. I was hoping to better understand the relationship between SOPEC and AEP Energy and how the energy program is shopped. Now that we've kind of been through, this is kind of our second bidding cycle. If you could just share a little bit more about that with us, please.
Yeah, so with the second year, and the reason you only saw a short period the first year is that Gahanna was waiting to sync up with the rest of the communities we serve. So we actually are up to our 41st member at this point. Hopefully have a few more here next week or so. But the collective buying power of Upper Arlington and Athens and Logan, Blended Township is going to be joining us here real soon for this next round. So that's happening. So this next 12 months, you guys are buying with the rest of the communities that have done that in solidarity with you. As far as the actual mechanism process, we work with AP Energy in their analysis and ours to try to figure out the best time to buy. So we're looking at the market, trying to time the market. In this case, found a really good dip when the energy prices were down. And from there, AEP Energy goes to the folks who are actually supplying the power and gets 3 bids. So we have them give us 3 bids. to keep them honest. So we have a contractual relationship with AP Energy, making sure that we're getting honest pricing in real time. They're soliciting bids to get the power coming into them. So that is a very active process and something we appreciate the ability for us to know where the markets are on a given day, but have the flexibility to pull the trigger versus some other models where they may say, we're going to shop for power on May 1st, whatever the price is, that's what we're going to get. So we may get the best price on a given day, but maybe the worst day to buy it. We like to pick the day, and then with that, AP Energy goes to market and gets us the quotes, and we come back and pick the lowest of those quotes to actually secure the power, because AP Energy is buying the power from somebody else to bring it to market as part of that process.
And just because I have really no understanding of this market, how many suppliers are out there? How many, why is it limited?
Very few in Ohio.
Okay.
You're talking active suppliers, maybe 5.
Okay.
Maybe less. They're probably, I could sit here and count them, but it's very, very few numbers. And it's been shrinking, contracting. Several of them have been consolidating. Folks have been buying them up and consolidating them together. So it's a very small group of suppliers. And so, yeah.
All right. Well, something for PUCO to keep an eye on, I'm sure. Any other questions? We appreciate all your time this evening answering a lot of questions, and thank you to my colleagues for asking those. I anticipate that we'll be able to post this, so if you did want to make that edit to the slide before it gets posted, I think that might be helpful, so you can just send that to Jeremy. Is that okay, Mr. Van Meter? Yes. Okay, thank you.
And if folks have any questions, they obviously can follow the website. And then I would, again, compliment the city. Gahanna is a model for how much information is on the city page as well. So we'll make sure we're communicating with the city to keep that update, but residents to be able to pull real information from either of those places.
Excellent.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we're moving on to hearing of visitors. I do have one speaker slip this evening from Mrs. Kathy McCorkle. Mrs. McCorkle, if you would please approach the podium, state your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
Kathy McCorkle, 677 Piccadilly, Gahanna. 4 weeks ago, Councilwoman Kaylee Padova, referring to me, said this: "Our resident, Mrs. McCorkle, had ample time and opportunity to come and visit, to speak and meet with both myself and President Bowers. She was there outside the library and did not come in and speak to either of us, so I will leave that at that." What was your point, Kaylee? I like to stick to transparency and facts, so I'll clarify your word salad with this. I did not go to the library for a 1-hour group meeting with you or Marissa. You had ample time of weeks to contact me, as Marissa gave you and all council members permission to do so, to discuss a natural family resolution after she said she would not. I was at the library exercising my right to protest council members who, along with the mayor, will promote homosexual identity groups showing pride in Gahanna, but will not promote natural family identity groups showing their pride. Shall we ask the founder of Pint-Sized Protesters, your colleague Jamil Jones, if it's okay to protest? You are the public servant, not me. I did my part in reaching out through weeks of being ignored by Marissa until she finally told me no. Council passed a public service resolution this month recognizing themselves and others. So put your public service into action. Call me, meet with me, introduce a natural family resolution, advance it to the floor for a vote. Then, if you want to vote no, so be it. But until then, don't be choosy as to whom you will give that good old public service to. For the record, this sign I held reads this: Councilwoman Marissa Bowers won't honor your family, but she will honor this: drag queens, members of her community influencing our children. Is this part of an agenda? Herewith are council members who passed last year's Pride resolution: Marissa Bowers, Steve Renner, up for re-election; Kaylee Padova, up for re-election; Trenton Weaver, up for re-election; Nancy McGregor, Jamil Jones. Tonight, Council, Council discusses another Pride resolution granting special treatment for these identity groups. Thank you, Kaylee, for presenting me with another opportunity to address this administration's discrimination among residents.
All right, the next section on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda. Is there a motion, let's see, Mr. Van Meter, would you please read ordinance 19-2025 into the record?
Ordinances for second reading and adoptions, ordinance 0019-2025, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a school resource officer, SRO, contract with the Gahanna Jefferson Public Schools for the 2025 to 2026 school year.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as published?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Schnetzer,
Second.
and I have a second by Mr. Weaver. Is there any discussion? All right, hearing none. Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes. Motion carries, and the consent agenda is approved as published. Section F on this evening's agenda, ordinances for introduction and first reading. Mr. Van Meter, would you please read the ordinances listed under Section F this evening?
First one, ordinance 0022-2025, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with AECom for professional design services for the West Gahanna Sanitary Relief Sewer Project, authorizing supplemental appropriations, capital improvement fund, and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 0023-2025, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with T&M Associates for major utility owner representation and construction administration and inspection services and declaring an emergency. Ordinance 0024-2025, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Professional Pavement Services for the 2025 Sidewalk Maintenance Lookback Program, ST 1115.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Section G, ordinances for introduction, waiver, and emergency adoption. Mr. Van Meter, would you please read ordinance 25 into the record?
Ordinance 0025-2025, an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with King Business Interiors, LLC, for furniture procurement and installation services for the renovation and expansion of 825 Tech Center Drive, waiving second reading and declaring an emergency.
Thank you, Mr. Van Meter. Is there a motion to suspend council rules and waive the second reading of ordinance 25-2025?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Schnetzer,
Second.
a second by Mrs. Jones. Is there any discussion?
Madam President?
Yes.
I'll just add that we heard from staff that the concern here is the potential for rising costs due to looming tariffs or uncertainty over that whole matter. So nonetheless, I feel like for the sake of the public treasury, it makes sense to advance this as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Thank you for putting that into the record, Mr. Schnetzer. Is there any further discussion on the motion to suspend rules? All right. Hearing none, Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll on the motion?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes. Motion carries. Now on to adopt the ordinance. Is there a motion to adopt ordinance 25-2025 with emergency?
So moved.
I have a first by Mr. Schnetzer,
Second.
a second by Mr. Weaver. Any discussion on this item this evening? I'll just take the moment to thank Mr. Schultz for a comprehensive presentation at last week's Committee of the Whole on this item, so thank you for your time on that. All right, with that, Mr. Van Meter, would you please call the roll?
Schnetzer?
Yes.
Weaver?
Yes.
McGregor?
Yes.
Padova?
Yes.
Bowers?
Yes.
Jones?
Yes.
Motion carries. The ordinance is adopted with waiver and emergency. Next, we'll move into correspondence and actions. Mr. Van Meter, do you have anything this evening?
Nothing this evening.
All right. There's one item, the continued discussion of the draft Pride Month resolution. This is resolution referencing resolution 0023-2025. At Committee of the Whole last week, we had discussed this item, but as there were no other items for a Committee of the Whole agenda this week, we housed it here on this agenda. Last week, there was a question about what the plus meant in LGBTQ+. Generally, it's intended to convey that people who identify their sexual orientation or gender identity under the big umbrella of LGBTQ are welcome and included. As discussed, this can include intersex and asexual people, but also gender nonconforming, non-binary, two-spirit, and many other nuanced labels. I just wanted to add that GLAAD, a recognized national nonprofit organization that promotes fair and inclusive representation of LGBTQ folks, shares in its media toolkit that either LGBTQ or LGBTQ+ are accepted terminology for referring to the LGBTQ community. So with that, I will pass it to Mr. Weaver, who introduced the resolution, and open for discussion.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm happy to entertain an IA edition instead of a plus. I believe Mrs. McGregor had indicated she was going to think about things. So I'm happy to defer to Mrs. McGregor for comments.
I'm comfortable with the LGBTQ, and that's all. So that's, it seems to be too many things that it's not specified, so I just rather would just, but that's my opinion, and so. How?
I would just like to share my perspective. I understand that we are trying to go for consensus here. We have information, we have validation from different organizations that are LGBTQ-led, that align with LGBTQ or LGBTQ+. I would suggest we defer to those. However, what I do think it's important to state is that these are organizations that are led by people that identify in that group, and those of us that don't identify shouldn't have the opportunity to say we only acknowledge you on our terms. So that is something I just wanted to state. Obviously, I think it's important that we are doing the recognition in our community. That's important, but I do think that we are, by having this conversation, we're towing a line of I only accept you under certain guidelines. And I think that's a hard line to tow if we're saying we're being a truly inclusive community.
Yeah. Thank you, Mrs. Jones, and thank you, Mr. Weaver. I think that it is incredibly important. It's 10 years ago next month that the Supreme Court ruled in Obergefell that the constitutional rights of equal protection and due process protect the rights of same-sex couples to marry. And 5 years ago next month, the court ruled in Bostock that Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 prohibits employment discrimination on the basis of sexual orientation and gender identity. But when I think about my experience and when I think about the experience that I had coming out and being around others who also have shared the experience of coming out, we just want to be ourselves and we just want to belong. Language does constantly evolve. In my own community, there's lots of words that describe being bisexual or pansexual or omnisexual or various types of words. But what matters, I think, is all of us putting forward a collective effort to learn and to create a community that protects the rights of all. So for me, I think that now that we understand, and now that I've reminded myself too of where current language is, I would just encourage us to be together in the phrasing of LGBTQ. Okay. So this will be on the agenda for for the first Monday in June. And Mr. Weaver is planning a presentation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, Section I, representatives. Community Improvement Corporation, Mrs. Padova, do you have anything for us this evening?
The only thing I have is we will be meeting tomorrow at 8 a.m. In the committee room for our May CIC meeting.
Thank you, Mrs. Padova. Mr. Weaver, Mid-Ohio Regional Planning Commission.
Thank you, Madam President. The Morpsey Commission met on May 8th. Our next meeting will be on June 12th. However, tomorrow, the Regional Policy Roundtable will be meeting. We'll be hearing from State Senator Bill DeMora on pending updates on the state budget legislation. First, sorry, before I should have said at the start, thank you to Council Office for their assistance in preparing the report. A couple items from the full report that is included in the agenda that I'd like to highlight. One of the resolutions adopted at the May 8th meeting included a adoption of the state fiscal year 26 through 29 Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, which would include more than $1.5 billion in roadway improvements and $2.7 billion in transit enhancements covering more than 360 projects. A couple of events to highlight here for you. Registration is open for the Transportation Innovation Forum titled Smart Moves, Efficient Solutions, which is on Wednesday, June 4th from 12 to 4:30 p.m. There's a link to register included in the report. Also another event, Securing Our Energy Future, Planning for a High Demand Future. It's part of their 4-part Energy Forum series that will be held on Thursday, June 5th from 9 to 1. Again, that link is included in the report. And that is all for me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Convention and Visitors Bureau, back to Mrs. Padova.
Thank you. The Creekside Blues and Jazz Festival is less than a month away now. So you can sign up to volunteer by going to creeksidebluesandjazz.com and going to the Engage tab and volunteer. There's still lots of opportunities to volunteer throughout the whole weekend, all sorts of different times and different volunteering opportunities. So great way to meet some other residents here in Gahanna, other people helping out, and be more engaged member of our community. And there's also a volunteer picnic in July, I believe. So highly recommend people checking that out. That's all for me.
Thank you, Mrs. Padova. School Board, Mrs. Jones.
Thank you. Only thing that I have is there are 4 days left of this school year. And I think teachers, staff, parents, students all are very excited. So wanted to wish a happy summer break to all of GJPS. And to the class of 2025, who graduate this Saturday, just wanted to say congratulations, and that I am so very proud of the youth in our community, and really recognize that their graduation is not just an achievement of their own, and that it is a reflection of our community, and that I hope that this community has loved, guided, and raised each of them just as their family has. And we are looking forward to the future. So happy end of school year, happy graduation.
Beautifully said. Thank you, Councilwoman Jones. Official reports, Mayor Jadwin.
Thank you very much. Over the last 2 weeks, we have multiple events designed to engage the community in the second phase of our work on the Our Gahanna Strategic Plan Initiative, from Taco Tuesdays in the Rain to last week's annual economic development event that featured keynote speaker Josiah Brown. We appreciated the opportunity to talk with many members of our community about their vision for Gahanna. Our sincere thanks to the many residents and small business owners who attended one of those events. Some attended multiple events that were part of the Our Gahanna Vision Fest, and for those folks who provided their insight and their feedback as we work together to shape the future of our city. Sincere thanks also go out to the members of our Strategic Planning Committee, many members of whom volunteer their time at one or more of those events to staff boards, talk with residents, and share their own passion for Gahanna, and that was a wonderful thing to see. Special thanks to Director Vollmer, to staff members Rachel Zarek, Kelsey Bartholomew, and Jen McBroom as well for their tireless efforts in organizing multiple events within a 2-week period. That was a lot of work to do, and with the exception of things we could not control, i.e. the weather. Every one of them proved to be a very successful event. If you know someone who did not have an opportunity to attend or participate, the online survey has been extended because we really, truly want to give our residents an opportunity to have their voices heard. So all they have to do is go to ourgahanna.com. The online survey, it was right there as soon as you open the page. Please take a few minutes. It does not take long, but This is the chance to provide your voice and your input as we shape the future for Gahanna. Don't complain about it later if you don't voice your ideas at this time. So that's all I would say. This is the chance. We'll have a third phase later, I believe late August, early September. But again, every stage and every opportunity to provide input is critical. So please encourage folks to share their ideas and inputs via the survey. Special thanks go out as well to the volunteers who shared their athletic prowess this past Saturday on the second annual Ohio Village Muffins versus the Gahanna Bananas game. While we may have lost the game again, we actually scored some runs. So we're making progress. We didn't. Corey, congratulations. We didn't lose the spirit. We had many residents in attendance to enjoy the festivities. Special thanks to the Gahanna Historical Society. Jason Rourke was the man at the grill yet again to provide food and fun, and Ron Smith for fulfilling his MC duties as always. And we look forward to our revenge game next year, date to be determined. So we'll be signing all of you up. Get in practicing right now. If you're out and about around the Creekside area and elsewhere through Gahanna, you may notice the beautiful planters that were put together by volunteers with Make Gahanna Yours this Saturday. We appreciate all the work that group does to beautify our city, whether it's a litter cleanup or planting flowers. They do a phenomenal job. Just a reminder, this Monday, City Hall will be closed in recognition of Memorial Day. The brick dedication and Memorial Day ceremony will be held by the VFW and American Legion on Monday at 1 p.m. at the Veterans Memorial Park. And they actually have several places they will be visiting. If you go to their website, they will give you their full schedule starting, which I believe starts at like 9 in the morning. And you can go to GahannaVets.org for that. But that is a wonderful opportunity to provide tribute to the members of our military service who have given the ultimate sacrifice. It always is a moving ceremony. The Gahanna Veterans Committee does a wonderful job planning that. So if you're able to swing by for that, again, that's 1 o'clock on Monday. And I echo Councilwoman Jones on behalf of the City of Gahanna to extend our congratulations to the graduating class of 2025. It was a class that achieved a great deal of things, and I believe the track and field team just earned the state title in the OCC championship. So congratulations to them. We'll have to recognize them. But as they step into the next chapter, hopefully they know that their city is cheering them on, and we look forward to the wonderful things that they will accomplish and when they return to become residents here and raise their own families here. So kudos and congratulations to the GLHS class of 2025, and that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. City Attorney Tamala Larison.
Yes, thank you. I have been recently working with the police department to try and do some review of our traffic code, just to tighten up a couple of code sections. This is much more narrow than our full comprehensive annual reviews, but that will be coming to a committee soon. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, City Attorney. All right, we are down to council comment. Councilwoman McGregor.
Thank you. Just want to thank all the volunteers for the Gahanna Bananas team, and Corey did an outstanding job Saturday morning. I talked to, I estimate there's probably 150 to 175 people there, and I was talking, when I had physical therapy this morning, they said, how was your weekend? And I was telling them, they said, oh, somebody here used to play for the Gahanna Muffins. And he said, how many people were there? And I said, that probably 150, 175. He says, are you kidding me? He says, usually we have 30 to 40. And I said, last year we had like 300. So he was really impressed that we had so many residents come out to watch the game. It was, other than the wind, it was a very lovely day, but probably better than rain. The other thing, the class of 2025, do you know how many are graduating?
Oh, gosh, no.
I don't either.
They're
But
pulling that number. We reached out to the schools. We haven't gotten it back yet for
Okay.
the final number.
I was just curious. I know my fourth grandchild, first grandson will be graduating Saturday morning, so we're hoping.
You can tell us you count them all.
I was just curious, so. Anyway, so congratulations to all the graduates, and that's all. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. McGregor. Mrs. Jones?
Thank you. My April constituent newsletter, a little tardy, but is attached to the agenda today. Just wanted to highlight that my next constituent hour is on June 22nd from 2 to 3 at Friendship Park. Hopefully it'll be nice and hot by then, so we'll have popsicles, a family-friendly constituent hour, so bring the family. And since this will be our last meeting in May, wanted to take a moment to uplift a couple of moments in May. This past week, so May 11th through 18th, was Taiwanese American Heritage Week. We and Council and the Mayor did receive a note from a resident. We didn't get an opportunity to formally recognize it this year, but still wanted to acknowledge and highlight that significant week in the broader AAPI, or Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, which is in May. And then also, since we are rounding out Mental Health Month, in my research this morning, found a really great program called the Community Care Collective, which is hosted by Somacom Lab. It is a nationwide virtual mental health training program for community influencers. So that is anywhere from faith leaders, community leaders, even neighborhood block watch, hairstylists, barbers, really anyone. And it helps to equip folks with the skills to recognize, respond to, and support mental health challenges and just day-to-day emotional overwhelm, and helping folks to understand how to do that in daily interactions. They have 2 cohorts for the rest of the year. One of them is this summer, and the deadline to apply for that is June 30th. So I did put information on my social media, but can also share that one with anyone as well. And I believe that's all.
Great, thank you so much, Councilwoman Jones. Councilwoman Padova.
Thank you. I am going to echo the mayor a lot here, but thank you to everyone who put on the economic development event last week. That was excellent. The speaker, Josiah Brown, was just phenomenal, and I don't know if it was, I've heard a lot between Council and Convention and Visitors Bureau, getting people to visit and then want to live there, work there, that cycle. But the way that he talked about it, it just made something else kind of click. It was like he put in the missing pieces for me. And so I'm excited to kind of take some of the things that he was talking about and apply it with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, especially as we go into some new strategic planning at the end of this year. Also was at the Gahanna Bananas game. Excellent job. While it was a loss, it was a better one than the last time. So there is improvement. So I don't know. I think maybe we might need Councilman Schnetzer to step in and coach or something here. That might be the the thing that we're looking for. On our way home, I mentioned to my husband, yeah, they were talking about the next one in 2026, and he was like, oh gosh, that's 2026 seems so far away, but that's actually just next year. And then also wanted to give a shout out to the Citizens Academy graduates. Was able to attend that reception last week, and they all said really nice positive things about the program itself. They played a little fun quiz game there. Councilwoman McGregor and I were kind of helping one of the teams out a little bit, but it was a lot of fun. Trying to, but it was a lot of fun, and all of the people who participated in it seemed, they all said that they had a really good time. It's a big time dedication to learn about local government, and so I definitely want to recognize the people who took the time out of their days to come and learn about their local government and encourage others to do the same as those opportunities present themselves in the future. And with graduation, congratulations to all of the kids graduating from Gahanna Lincoln here this weekend, and enjoy the summer.
Thank you so much. Mr. Schnetzer.
Thank you, Madam President. A couple of items here. So since ordinance 22-2025, I believe this one's not coming back to committee and then will be on for consent next week. I did just want to comment this evening. This is the ordinance authorizing the mayor to contract with ACOM for the West Gahanna Sanitary Relief Sewer Project. First, thanks to everyone that brought that forward. I think it's good to see some real tangible movement on this issue after, I think, what was a significant amount of study and analysis in order to identify the issue. I think this is precisely the type of stuff residents expect us to focus our time and attention on, given that this really falls well within the city's purview and responsibility. Second, in reviewing the contractor proposal, and that's, I believe, Exhibit A under that particular link, there's an item number 16 that's titled Funding Research. And I'll just encourage the administration to consider exploring debt financing projects such as these that roll up under the enterprise systems. While there are statutory limits to the governmental fund side of things, such as the Capital Improvement Fund and the General Fund, the enterprise funds limitations are more practical in nature rather than statutory. And Mr. Schultz shared with us, I don't know what we're referring to the project list as, but it's the big nine that totals well over $100 million, of which this project is one. And I think the looming question is, how do we fund all of those? So I'll just add that, debt financing can come in multiple forms, from an outright public sale to a private placement. And then also the Ohio Water Development Authority has a lengthy list of programs for which this project might qualify. Their financing terms at the moment are sometimes 100 basis points cheaper than anything that we're seeing in the public markets. Obviously, we have a well-respected municipal advisor in Baker Tilly that we work with, and perhaps they could weigh in as well. So those are just some comments on that particular ordinance. And then lastly here, as everyone knows, this Monday, 1 week from now, is Memorial Day. And while many of us are celebrating with family and friends, it's my hope that we'll all take a moment to reflect on the significance of that holiday. For a number of years now, my employer has encouraged associates to participate in National Poppy Day. National Poppy Day traces its origin to September 27th, 1920, when the poppy became the official flower of the American Legion, meant to memorialize the soldiers who fought and died in World War I. The American Legion later worked with Congress to designate the Friday before Memorial Day as National Poppy Day. So on this Friday, May 23rd, I just encourage all to join me in wearing a red poppy to honor the fallen and support the living who have worn our nation's uniform. Anyone that wants more information on National Poppy Day, please see the American Legion website. That's all from me.
Thank you, Mr. Schnetzer. Mr. Weaver.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Mr. Schnetzer, for that reminder and the impactful words, so thank you. Had the opportunity to participate in several of the strategic plan community events. I'll just say hats off to everybody involved, all the volunteers, staff, the administration, thank you. Tacos in the rain taste just as great as tacos in the sunshine. The turnout at that was awesome, I don't want to say in spite of the weather, but given the weather, it was wonderful to see so many community members out and about. Enjoyed an open house with residents in the Creekway neighborhoods along with President Bowers. Director Gottke was there as well. Representatives from Trivium Development, just to have an initial conversation with some of those residents about the Growing Solutions potential project there. So I appreciate the residents' time as well as that of Director Gottke and the developers. Lastly, I'll just add my congratulations as well to the class of 2025. I know my better half is also counting down the days till summer break. So thank you very much. That is all for me.
Thank you, Mr. Weaver. Just a couple items. I wanted to give another quick shout out and thank you to Director Vollmer and Kelsey Bartholomew for your work on the Citizens Academy. I've heard nothing but positive feedback, so congratulations, and I look forward to that program continuing because I think that it is helping residents really understand the operations of the city, so thank you. I also wanted to share that I corresponded with various state senators last week regarding local control implications of 3 bills, including House Bill 96, the budget bill, and in particular the proposed 30% cap on the public school annual budget carryover amount. As we had previously discussed, this in particular should raise a red flag to those of us in local government, as it amounts to micromanaging duly elected representatives of a particular community and overrides voters' decisions. So I would just encourage all of us, again, to remain vigilant about intrusions into local control and violations of home rule, and to try to do our best to continue to be good stewards of our community and manifest the wishes and intentions of our residents. I'll just say ditto to everybody else's comments, and as a reminder, we will not meet next week. We do have the holiday, so I wish everyone a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend, and I will see everyone back here on June 2nd. And finally, an early happy birthday wish to Councilman Renner, who is exploring Sleeping Bear Dunes and the great landscape of the state up north. So that's all. We'll adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.